What? What's happening?
And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it, not that it isn't important, not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man. And I believe that what we're seeing now with his bringing in $1 trillion in business and manufacturing and companies moving back to the United States.
I'm okay losing my 401k. I'm okay taking a hit right now. I can survive that. But you know who can't? The single mom who working 2 jobs, the retired veterans living in fixed income. The family's already choosing between gas and groceries. They can't afford losing everything while the system plays games. But I remember it's not just about politics, it's about people. And too many are getting left behind. We need to stop pretending everyone can afford the cost of groceries right now. Because in the end, a broken system doesn't care who believes. What a shame. What a shame.
We do begin tonight with U.S. markets in a free fall today for a second day in a row after President Trump's sweeping new tariffs. The Dow dropping more than 2,000 points today, only the 4th time in history we've seen this, falling 5.5% today alone, plunging close to 4,000 points in 2 days. The S&P 500 closing down nearly 6% today, and the Nasdaq down nearly 6% as well. Tonight, China now retaliating with a 34% tariff on all U.S. goods sold in China. Tonight, you will hear from American farmers very worried about this, along with American families concerned over higher prices now. And just before the markets closed today, President Trump in Florida today posting, "Only the weak will fail." Democratic leaders asking why the president was golfing as the markets plunged for a second day in a row. So where does this go from here, and how much will the average American family likely pay in higher prices? ABC's Whit Johnson leading us off tonight. He's on Wall Street.
Tonight, the stock market in free fall after President Trump's sweeping tariffs. Today, the Dow losing more than 2,000 points in a single day. Only the 4th time in history this has happened. The other 3 times also all under President Trump during the pandemic. Tonight, millions of Americans are worried about rising prices and their shrinking 401ks. This snapshot of the Dow since President Trump's inauguration in January, a racing gain since he took office. The Dow down more than 14% since its record high, putting it into correction territory. And this is the tech-heavy Nasdaq during that same time, now officially in bear market territory, meaning it's lost more than 20% since its recent high. And this is the S&P 500 during the new administration, losing $5 trillion in just the past 2 days. Democratic leaders criticizing Trump for golfing today in Florida as markets plunged. Late today, President Trump standing firm, saying only the weak will fail. And tonight, China now firing back, saying they will now slap a 34% retaliatory tariff on U.S. goods coming into China. China banning 11 American companies and halting chicken imports from 5 of the largest agricultural exporters in the U.S. China is the 3rd largest importer for U.S. agricultural products. American farmers are now bracing. Louise and Vance Emke have been farming in western Kansas for over 50 years, worried not only for themselves, but for the entire farming community.
It isn't just us. It's the people who sell the equipment. They aren't making equipment sales. It's the fertilizer people. You're buying less fertilizer. Who knows? You may have to lay somebody off and stretch whatever you have further.
And it's not just farming, it's electronics. Japanese gaming giant Nintendo now delaying the pre-orders of its highly anticipated Switch 2 console to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. After President Trump said, quote, "I think it's going very well," tonight Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing the tanking global markets this way.
I don't think it's fair to say economies are crashing. Markets are crashing because markets are based on the stock value of companies who today are embedded in modes of production that are bad for the United States.
The White House concedes it could take up to 2 years for some manufacturing to come back to the U.S. Economists say it could take far longer and cost billions. Not to mention the additional cost of labor paying workers in America when workers overseas make far less. James Evans from Baltimore manufactures car parts here in the U.S. and is hopeful this gamble works.
I think in 3-4 years, it should set us up and other people that are manufacturing here in America for success.
In the meantime, Americans are set to pay more at the grocery store for electronics and for cars. The average family of four, analysts say, could pay $7,000 more in higher prices a year. Should Americans expect things to get worse before they get better?
I think we're in for a bumpy ride. And again, it could get worse from here, depending on what we see from the rest of the world and what we see further from businesses and consumers as they respond to this.
And David, tonight, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is warning that Trump's tariffs will increase inflation, and a dramatic step from J.P. Morgan saying that this will only raise the chances of a recession in the U.S. to 60%.
Okay, so this might honestly be the most important video that I've ever posted on this account. So here's the deal. In North Carolina, MAGA Republicans are trying to steal the Supreme Court race. Basically, there was a Supreme Court race. Associate Justice Allison Riggs won the race by about 730 or so votes over the MAGA candidate Jefferson Griffin. There was one recount. It confirmed that Riggs won. A second recount confirmed that Riggs won. A third recount confirmed that Riggs won. But the MAGA Republicans are still trying to block this win from actually going through. They are trying to steal this election. And so today there was this horrific court decision out of North Carolina. 2 Republicans on a 3-judge panel ruled that more than 65,000 votes, particularly in Democratic areas that likely voted for Allison Riggs, they ruled that those votes don't count as of now, that they need to be fixed. And so as of today, what they're saying is that voters have 15 days to fix their ballots or their votes will not be counted. These are the same kind of shady tactics that Trump tried to use in 2020 to steal the election. And if MAGA Republicans get their way on this, this is going to be their playbook for every election going forward. So here's my first call to action to you. Make sure that everybody knows about this. Spread the word. If you know anybody in North Carolina, make sure they're checking to ensure that their vote was counted. And if it wasn't, make sure that they go and cure their ballot. Second, I really want you to hear what Justice Allison Riggs has to say about this whole situation. And we had an opportunity to catch up with her after this ruling was issued on the Midas Touch podcast. You can listen to this interview right now on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but I'll play you a clip right now as well.
What I am doing now, I am fighting to make sure that the will of North Carolina voters is respected. What my opponent and his allies are trying to do here is what they tried in 2020 and 2022 and failed to do, which is stop the certification of election, overturn election results that they don't like. And if they succeed here, if they succeed in North Carolina, it is like dropping a match in a dry forest, and we will not be able to contain the spread. So I know that this fight is about more than North Carolina. It's more than my seat and my oath. It is about the very soul of our democracy, and I will not stop standing up for voters and standing in the way of any politician that tries to take the power away from the people.
This was the scene in Vilnius, Lithuania, as that country's president, First Lady, and hundreds of other dignitaries and citizens paid homage to 4 American soldiers, Sergeant Jose Dueñas Jr., Sergeant Edwin Franco, Private First Class Dante Titano, and Staff Sergeant Troy Knutson-Collins. All tragically died during a training exercise accident while stationed in Lithuania. Our own president was not present to receive their remains in a ceremony known as the Dignified Transfer when they arrived at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth filled in for America's Commander-in-Chief, who chose instead to travel to Miami for a Saudi-funded live golf tournament at his own course. He also attended a dinner reception there. His staff tweeted this image late Thursday afternoon, celebrating that it was almost Friday with a festive font, as those fallen American heroes were being returned to American soil. During his first administration, the Huffington Post reported that Trump attended just 4 dignified transfers, avoiding the ceremony entirely for almost 2 years after getting berated by the father of a slain Navy SEAL.
Just 48 hours after Trump's big announcement on reconciliatory tariffs, the U.S. economy is spiraling. Stocks are plummeting, 401ks are in free fall, and the online world is not letting it slide. Meanwhile, Trump is out here having a golf dinner like it's all good. Carney's clapping back. The North Carolina Supreme Court just made a bold move, and somehow the Nintendo Switch is now part of the conversation? In this video, we break down the chaotic fallout of Trump's latest economic move. and show the FAFO energy from online creators who are dragging MAGA through the digital mud. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and don't miss more real talk on MAGA madness. It will also help YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. Just a quick note, full credit goes to the original creators of these videos.
The market opened strong this morning. We're saved. Oh wait, Fox News is saying we're fucked. Check this video out.
Futures this morning are indicating stocks will plummet at the opening of trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average right now down 1,000 points. All three major indices finished higher earlier before the president spoke and made the announcement on tariffs. Stocks were higher across the board at the close. How investors are navigating markets ahead right now.
The United States has now entered a bear market, and the stock market just appears to be in a full-fledged collapse. But hey, Trump made history today. He is the first president since the S&P 500 was created back in 1957 to inherit a bull market and then turn it into a loss of at least 5% at this point in his presidency. And Trump appears to be basking in this honor because he reposted a TikTok today that says he's intentionally crashing the stock market. Also, the price of oil is falling, which may seem great, but you have experts saying it's because investors believe the floor is about to fall out from under the economy. We're to believe that people are going to be going fewer places. We saw the exact same thing in 2008 and 2020. We also saw Trump rage at Jerome Powell today, demanding that the Federal Reserve lower interest rates. And this is, the Fed is essentially in charge of managing interest rates and other monetary policy. But Powell appears to have said no, saying that Trump's tariffs will translate into higher inflation and slower economic growth, and that higher inflation could be a permanent feature of America going forward because of them. With economists saying that another word for what Powell is describing here is stagflation. And that would be very notable because it's really hard to get out of stagflation because not only do a ton of people not have jobs, but the prices of things don't come down to compensate for that because of high inflation. So you can end up basically stuck in a permanent downturn. And I mean, countries lose entire decades to this because you can't stimulus check your way out of it like you can other recessions.
And he's delivering. And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it. Not that it isn't important. Not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man. And I believe that what we're seeing.
2 days. That's all it took. Just 2 days after Trump dropped his so-called reconciliatory tariffs, the market said, nope. Stocks are down, 401ks are tanking, and the average American losing money by the hour. People online are straight up crying into their brokerage accounts, while MAGA's still trying to convince us this is strategic genius. Spoiler alert, it's not. This is what happens when you let a guy who bankrupts casinos handle global trade policies. It's giving FAFO in HD.
President Trump has just announced a series of measures that are going to fundamentally change the international trading system. Now, in doing so, he has preserved a number of important elements of our relationship, the commercial relationship between Canada and the United States. But the fentanyl tariffs still remain in place, as do the tariffs for steel and aluminum. As of this evening, the tariffs on automobiles will enter into force, and the U.S. has signaled that there will be additional tariffs in so-called strategic sectors, pharmaceuticals, lumber, and semiconductors. So we're in a situation where there is going to be an impact on the U.S. economy, which will build with time. In our judgment, it will be negative on the U.S. economy. That will have an impact on us. But the series of measures will directly affect millions of Canadians. We're going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures. We are going to protect our workers, and we are going to build the strongest economy in the G7. In a crisis, it's important to come together, and it's essential to act with purpose and with force. And that's what we will do.
Markets down another 5%. Donald Trump is in Florida playing golf. The bodies of 4 U.S. soldiers who died in Lithuania arrived at Dover Air Force Base today. Donald Trump didn't show up. He's playing golf. Here, Lithuanians, they didn't play golf. They actually held a memorial. Look at this. Thousands of people lining the streets for the U.S. troops. Donald Trump is playing golf. Top economists are now saying a recession in America is all but certain this year thanks to Donald Trump's tariffs, that inflation is about to go through the roof, and people are recommending that we go out and buy everything we can right now before prices go up, as if we live in some third world country. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is playing golf. Isn't that nice? Just how bad are things going to get with inflation? A new analysis from Yale says prices are going to go up $3,800 for the average American family per year. Meanwhile, as expected, China just hit the U.S. with a retaliatory 34% tariffs of their own, meaning American companies are now going to have a very difficult time selling anything in China. At the same time, anything we buy from China is going to go up 34% as well. National Public Radio reports that among the foods you're going to see spike in price at the grocery store, seafood, coffee, wine, nuts and cheese, and even candy bars. And pretty much all the olive oil in the United States comes from abroad, so that's jumping in price too. So yeah, inflation's exploding, stocks are crashing, and a recession is coming, but have no fear. This guy will get right on it once he's done playing golf.
Carney came in swinging, basically saying the tariffs are a blunt instrument that's going to hurt consumers more than help the industry. And he's right. The online world loved it. The comment sections are full of people saying, "Finally, someone said it out loud." MAGA's trying to spin it like Carney's a globalist puppet, but let's be honest, they just hate hearing the facts. And while the economy is taking a nosedive, guess where Trump is? At a golf-themed dinner party. Because nothing says economic leadership like shrimp cocktails and sand traps. The netizens are calling it exactly what it is: out of touch, elitist nonsense. People are broke, markets are crashing, and he's playing dress up in plaid pants.
Hey y'all, check on your North Carolina friends today. It's been a rough one. Justice Riggs, our state Supreme Court justice, won her election in November. The Republican Party doesn't like that they lost, and so they're trying to throw votes out until they win. They're doing it through like a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that is just like impossible to follow, if I'm being totally honest. But here's the gist. Legal, valid votes were cast, counted, recounted. Justice Riggs was the winner. Jefferson Griffin, her opponent, keeps challenging them for stupid shit reasons. And because our North Carolina court system is like corrupt, for lack of a better way to describe it, Griffin won today. It will now go to the state Supreme Court. After that, it will probably go to federal court and will end up at the U.S. Supreme Court. It is absolute nonsense. It is bullshit. This is also the way that they are testing a strategy, they being the Republican Party, are testing a strategy for stealing elections across the country. I cannot emphasize this enough. So it seems like a North Carolina problem today, but it is a you problem tomorrow. So we need you to have our backs. I need you to tell everyone you know. I need you to share about this. I need you to make sure that there is a political cost to stealing people's votes and to overturning the results of legal, valid elections. Please. Thank you. And really, like, check on your North Carolina people. We've got like Duke and freaking basketball tournament, and Carolina lost, and so the majority of the state is despondent anyway. And now on top of all of that, we have like the fucking theft of 68,000 votes.
Just sent out the statement telling me they are delaying pre-orders for their new Switch 2 console due to tariff uncertainty. This was the console they gave the full details on just 2 days ago. It was supposed to go on sale for a pre-order for $450 here in the United States and launch on June 5th. They're now pushing back the pre-orders, they say, as they try to figure out what this tariff situation means. Nintendo does make its consoles in China. We know about that 54% tariff on imports from China happening right now. As for the price, they're not commenting if they're going to change the price or not. Again, $450 is what they announced just a couple days ago, but unclear if that price is going to hold amid these tariffs. And for now, they're putting a pause on accepting those pre-orders because of this tariff uncertainty.
So meanwhile, in North Carolina, the Supreme Court just ruled against a Trump-aligned case, delivering another blow to the MAGA legal dream machine. Added to the pile, digital creators in North Carolina were popping off, saying maybe, just maybe, the judicial system still has some spine left. And yes, Somehow, the Nintendo Switch got dragged into this because tariffs could hit electronics hard. One creator said, if Joy-Cons go up to $99, I'm suing personally. Mood. So let's recap. The market's bleeding, 401ks are dust, Trump's playing golf, Carney's roasting him, and creators delivering the memes and the smoke. MAGA thought these tariffs were a power move, but really, it's just another classic FAFO. If you're feeling that economic pressure already, just remember who pushed the first domino. This ain't strategy, it's self destruction. Hit that like button if you're tired of fake leadership. Subscribe for more unfiltered takes and let me know in the comments which online reaction made you laugh the hardest. Doing so will help me grow my channel. Catch you in the next one. Stay woke, stay loud. Thanks for watching.